Talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes. Don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy. Make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it. I wanna see it. See how. Rewind. When we rewind. Feels so nice. We time. You, I know how to make me feel right. I can't help how. This sweet talk. I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk. You need to say listen, babe. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way, on my way. Why you blushing? Yeah, sweet concussion. Oh, you miss my touching. Show me something. Give me more than one thing. I need more than less than I do. Say you're a good guy. Make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it. I wanna see it. See how. Rewind. When we rewind, it feels so nice. I can't help how. Got this sweet talk. I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk. You need to say listen, babe. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way, on my way. We've been dancing all night long. Right here with you way too long. Don't want nothing here or now. But I'm done waiting, done wasting my time. Got this sweet talk. I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk. You need to say listen, babe. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way, on my way.
Ensure to subscribe and hit that notification bell.
Hey, welcome everybody to SCOARTGLASS, where I help you discover the beauty of stained glass, learn tips, tricks, and techniques so that you can create your own stained glass artwork. And if you're new to the channel, I hope you will subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so that you will get notified when I go live, when I have other artist spotlight interviews, or when I load new content to the channel. And if you like the channel, be sure to hit that like button below if you're enjoying the stream. And then at the end of the stream, I will be making a special announcement. So you want to stay tuned for that. With that, I'm so excited about our guest tonight. It's an amazing artist. And I've been following her on Instagram. And then before, like I said in my last stream, she was presented to me on YouTube, and I didn't know she was on YouTube. So I saw she was on YouTube, and I started subscribing to her channel there and started following there too. Amazing artist. And with that, let me go ahead and introduce our artist spotlight guest is Rachel Kendrick.
Rachel Kendrick is the creator of Some Bear Glasscraft. She has been making stained glass artwork since June of 2019 and is fully self-taught. She decided to make creating stained glass art her full-time job in June of 2020. And since then, she has generated over 800 sales through her Etsy site from shop updates and custom commissions. SCOARTGLASS is excited to spotlight this amazing artist. Please give an SG Live welcome to Rachel Kendrick of Some Bear Glasscraft.
Hello.
Hey, welcome.
What an entrance.
I'm so much happy that you are able to join us tonight, and I greatly appreciate it. So, Rachel, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, sure. So, of course, my name is Rachel. First and foremost, I'm obsessed with bears. So that's where the sun bear comes from. I'm a full-time stained glass artist. I have been for over a year now. And I have some chihuahuas that are just like my love and joy in life. And yeah, I don't know. That's me. I work in a shed. Like,
oh, you got a she shed.
Yeah. Yes. I have a glass she shed. My sun shed is what I call it. Bears. Yes.
All right. Awesome. So tonight we're going to actually talk about transitioning to a full-time job and your experiences in doing that. So let's kind of just jump right in. What kind of led you to that, I guess, fruition to say, hey, I'm going to go full time?
Sure. So that a lot of my inspiration to do that actually came from my now fiance, who has been running his own business for 5 or 6 years. And he's an entrepreneur. And he was like, you need to do this. You need to find something. You need to work for yourself. Get away from the job because I had a job and I loved the people I worked with, but it was just like not what I wanted to do. I worked really long hours and I was just not very happy. So he was constantly like, you need to find something, you need to do something artistic, because he knew I loved art. So it was like me just being like, I don't know what I want to do. And eventually I found stained glass, and then obviously we're here now. So
oh wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, just recently you kind of moved and you had a lot of things happen.
Yes, a lot. There were a lot. Last year has been crazy busy. So, and there's just been milestone after milestone. It's been really awesome.
So what made you choose stained glass? I mean, you said you love art.
Yes.
So what kind of made you choose stained glass as the art medium to go after?
Yeah. So stained glass, I didn't really have an idea. Like, I knew I wanted to do something artistic, but I didn't really have any inspiration. I've always been kind of the person that I like jump from one thing to another, and I'm like, ooh, watercolor, and then I try it, and then I do it for like a day, and then I'm like, man, there's a lot that I need to know for this, and then it like overwhelms me. I did that with embroidery, with crochet, with watercolor. So I've like dabbled in a few things, with a lot of things, but I was on Facebook one day and I saw a stained glass crystal. So I think it was the Sweet Karma bar, which is like, she's very well known. I'm sure. Yeah, she's like all over Facebook ads and stuff. I saw a stained glass crystal, and I think it just like planted an idea in my brain. And I was like, that's so cool. Like, I had never seen stained glass done in like a non-traditional way. Cause stained glass, like usually you think of like transoms and like just kind of windows and very like traditional Victorian looking stuff. So I saw that and I was like, that's pretty cool. Like, that's different. And I didn't really think much else about it after that. But then there was one night that I was like laying in bed and I was trying to go to sleep. I have a really active brain at night and I usually have a hard time sleeping. And I like just thought of this like big stained glass bear face. And I was like, that would be so cool if I did that. And I was like, how hard could it be? And then I just like, it started this like, how hard could it be? I had no idea what I was doing. And it started this like kind of snowball of like, what if I did stained glass? Like, I don't know anyone who does that. That would be kind of a cool thing to like kind of break into this world and make stained glass bears and stuff. So I talked to my grandpa, who was a stained glass artist, and he was super encouraging. And I thought about it for like 6 months. And then finally I was like, I'm going to do it. Like, and then Brian, of course, helped me be like, do it. You need to just do it. So after 6 months, got my supplies, and I was so overwhelmed that I didn't do much for like 5 months.
Okay, so you talk about you got your supplies and everything, and then
yes.
Well, don't kill me, but you started off, which I think a lot of people do start off in small, confined space studios when they first start out.
Yeah.
So, you know, this was what I had seen on your Instagram and table. I mean, everything just basically right there.
Yeah, no, it was everything was on that table. I had an IKEA shelf, and I don't think that the full picture is showing, but it was like a very small, like just a 6-foot fold out table, all my stuff. I had my glass up in the window up there that you can see like half of the window. And then I had the rest of my glass in like an IKEA, those like square IKEA shelves. Right. But yeah, it was all there. And that was just an extra room in our house. We had a roommate who just up and left. And we were renting a large 3-2 in a big city. So it was like kind of expensive, just up and left. And I was like, okay, well, that was my reading room. Like I had a couch in there and we had extra stuff and I would just sit in there and read. So it was kind of the perfect area that I could just like put my new stained glass hobby in and kind of get comfy.
So now you're in a nice bigger shed. You know, a bigger area that you have, which is awesome. Yeah. And, you know, you've really blossomed in a sense that you know, from what I've seen, and been following you for a little bit. So you are totally self-taught.
Yes.
And I'm the same way. I'm totally self-taught as well.
Yeah. I mean, now granted, I did find YouTube tutorials, although there were not many. Like there weren't many back in like even 2019. There were very few like tutorial videos, at least that I was familiar with. There were like maybe 3 big channels that I found videos, and I'm kind of stubborn though. Like I'm like, I want to figure it out on my own. So a lot of my first project, which the reason why it took me so long was because I was stubborn, is I would be like, all right, I'm going to figure this out. And then I would just like, it took me 8 hours to cut the glass for the project. I wish that I have it on my table back here, so I might have to go grab it and present it. But it took me 8 hours to cut the glass. Let me just grab it real quick. That way you can see the
and while you're
scale of it, which honestly is it's not crazy.
Cool.
Let's see. So this was my first project. You can see the little string broke off because I put the jump ring not on the proper spot because I had no idea what I was doing. So this took me 8 hours to cut because I realized that my scoring tool was broken. And it was just like a constant struggle of trying to figure out. I would like cut the glass and then I was like, all right, I'm going to figure it out. I would go watch a video when I got stuck. And then I'd be like, I'm only going to watch like a minute of the video. And then I would come back and I would get stuck. And then I would go back to it. Oh my gosh. It was just like I made it. Yeah. I made it way harder on myself than I needed to. But I think that like doing stuff like that, like I immediately failed a million times. And I think doing that and learning, like you learn that way. I'm like, okay, I can't cut the glass that way. Okay, if I hold it here, it's gonna just like shatter. So I think that because I was so stubborn, it kind of worked in my favor because I learned a lot with that one darn leaf.
So when you first started out, what was the hardest part or piece of the process to get a hang of for you?
I would say cutting and breaking glass. Not to mention this project. I don't know. You can kind of see in the light reflection how textured the glass is. To this day, this is...
So you picked texture glass. That's the first glass you got.
I had no idea what I was doing. This was literally, I picked up this sheet of glass. It was an 8x12, and I was like, that's pretty. This is, to this day, the most difficult sheet of glass I have ever worked with because not only is it, like, wavy, but it has, like... There's multiple textures to it. Like it has like just so many textures going on. Ridiculous.
It's probably an antique glass type. Yeah.
Something like that. I got it from a shop. So I literally have no idea what kind of glass that is.
Oh man. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the hardest for me, was when I first started, was cutting the glass, because it seems so like it's not intuitive, because you're like, okay, I'm just gonna like shatter this glass. Like trying to like hide your face.
Yeah. So I had a similar experience. I have trouble with cutting glass at times as well, and it's really the inside curves. The inside curves have always been challenging.
Yeah.
And well, I've watched tons of videos on trying to do inside curves. And I find, I think I finally found my, way of doing it that really helps out. But yeah, cutting's been the hardest, but for me, it's part of my favorite.
Yep, absolutely. I feel the same way. I love. Oh, sorry, I just got distracted by a giant ant. We're out in the middle of nowhere, so there's lots of bugs and creepy crawlies. So I just was like, oh, it's a monster ant. My favorite part, probably one of my favorite. There's most of it is my favorite part, but cutting the glass when you can first start seeing a project take shape, and you're like, ooh, you get to like plan the different pieces and the colors and how the the different waves are gonna go. Oh, it's so fun. I love it.
Yes. That's awesome. I love it too. So when you started, you said you started what, in 2019?
Yes.
And then how long did it really spawn off into basically a business? How long did it take you to kind of make that realization that I'm going to spin this off right into a business and go forth?
Sure. So it was a kind of a gradual, it kind of evolved into that. I didn't have a vision for what I wanted to do. I just kind of knew that I wanted to learn stained glass. I didn't honestly think that it would, I didn't know how it was going to be feasible for me to do it full time, or for me to even make money off of it, because it was just like, I think I started in June of 2019 was when I first got all the supplies, and I bought that cursed piece of glass. June of 2019, I didn't finish that leaf until I think August of 2019. So like the soldering, I just was like so anxious that I just like didn't touch it for a month. But then I slowly just started like drawing out designs, making things that I thought were really cool, and just kind of practicing. I think I sold my first piece in September of 2019. I think it was to my grandma. My grandma was my first sale. Bless her. And then it just kind of like slowly evolved. The word got out. I posted on my Facebook, and I started doing commissions. So I did some like Ohio State Block O's for some people for Christmas. I had like a video game commission for Christmas of 2019. And then honestly, like I was posting on TikTok too. TikTok was like a huge like key to me being able to spread the word. Yeah. I joined TikTok in November of 2019, and I was like the only stained glass person on TikTok at that point. I couldn't find anyone else unless they were just hidden, and the TikTok like search function didn't work very well. But I got a lot of visibility that way, and I was able to like cross promote my Instagram, and I was like doing like miniature, like 1-minute tutorials on TikTok basically. And it kind of just slowly built from there. I got a lot of commissions from TikTok, and that was basically all I was doing, was just like commissions in the beginning. So yeah, yay, Grandma, thank you.
Yeah. Well, let's go over to the chat and just kind of welcome some of our guests.
Yeah.
So it looks like we've got Kuya P.
Kuya, yeah, Kuya's.
Welcome. And then we have a Jay Wisher.
Yes, hello.
Hello,
I see
welcome.
Renee is in here as well.
Renee,
they come to my
awesome.
streams too.
Okay, awesome. Well, appreciate you guys coming over. Jupiter 5.
Yes, thank you all for being here. This is so fun.
Coming over. And Bull Straight, let me guess, that's somebody you know.
I wonder who.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate if you guys have questions about what we're talking about and want to ask Rachel or myself something, just put a Q in front of the question so we can easily spot it, and we'll do our best to answer it.
Yeah, and I think Jay Weiser, I'm sorry if I am saying your name
Weiser.
wrong. My TikTok is SunBearGlass Craft. So all of my social media is just SunBearGlass Craft. My Etsy is SunBearGlass Crafts with an S on the end. Unfortunately, because my actual name was taken. I don't know who they are, but they took my name. At one point in time, they took my name on Etsy. So yeah, that's everything is SunBearGlass Craft otherwise.
Oh, okay. Also, welcome Renee Viola. Welcome to the stream as well. Renee was on my previous stream when I was doing my soapbox. I don't know if you saw that soapbox that I was doing. It was this little soapbox thing. Oh, you can't see it. I've got it blocked. This little soapbox.
Yeah.
It's a 3-dimensional. Actually, this is my first 3-dimensional piece. So
I can't do 3D. I refuse. That's all you. That's all you.
So, and it was a commission. So asked me if I could do it, and I was like, I'll go after it.
Why not?
I'll take it on. Why not?
Yeah.
So we have Jay Wisher asking, what is TikTok? It's a platform that you can post videos to and promote different things. Video, real quick. I'm on TikTok, but I don't utilize TikTok as much. So
I haven't been using it as much either, but thank you for the follow. I see that they commented that they're following me now. And Jupiter, yes, I'm in a new office. So I moved and I now have a shed. I'm in a shed. So it's pretty awesome, but it's kind of cute. There's mushrooms and forests.
Yeah, it fits the whole Sun Bear vibe.
Yes, we are in the forest. And also Chelsea is here. So thank you for being here, Chelsea.
Chelsea, welcome.
Yes. She has ordered mini goat portraits from me. So yes.
Oh yeah, those goats are nice.
Yep.
Really,
they are
really
like
good.
it's that's like the strangest thing. There's so many strange things that have come from TikTok, and like my micro niche of like goat portraits and stained glass. I love goats and I've always loved goats. So the fact that I was like, I get to make a bunch of goat portraits in stained glass now. Okay, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. TikTok is really like I've complained about it many times before, but it's super awesome. Like I've met my best friend on TikTok, and like I have met so many cool people. So it's a great platform. I've been frustrated with it lately though. I haven't been on it as much, but what are you gonna do?
Okay, well, let's get into some of the I've got some questions for you as well.
Yes.
So you briefly kind of touched on how you got started in stained glass. Was there some inspiration that kind of pushed you into stained glass? Are you inspired by certain stained glass artists or?
I would say, I mean, the Sweet Karma Bar was my number one. Like I saw all of her work and I was just like in love because, her presentation is, if anyone is watching who's not familiar with the Sweet Karma Bar, she is like, just makes the most beautiful stained glass, like crystals, and just like, and the way she takes pictures are so beautiful. So like it's just everything she does is super dreamy. So I thought that was super cool. That was definitely like a huge inspiration for me in the beginning. Otherwise, I mean, one of the first people I actually talked to about stained glass was Colorado Glassworks, and she gave me some pointers whenever I was first getting started. I think at that point she had like maybe 8,000 or 9,000 followers on Instagram, and so she was like she felt a little more approachable than she is now. She has like 60,000 or so now.
Oh wow.
So she gave me, I don't know if you're familiar with her work or not, but she gave me a lot of pointers, and so she definitely helped me and inspired me to do certain things. So
that's cool. That's
yeah.
cool. Oh yeah, Jupiter 5's got to come in there.
The goat lady that
The
keeps
goat lady
Rachel
that
employed.
keeps Rachel employed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There have been many months where I'm like, thank gosh, I have these goat portraits. Doing art full time is so amazing, but there's definitely there's been some road bumps. It's bound to happen. So
Uh-huh.
those goats have sustained me.
Great. So we talk about stained glass and the different processes, but some people prefer Tiffany versus the leaded.
Mhm.
And Tiffany is the foiled method.
Yes.
It's originally called Tiffany method, but everybody calls it the copper foil method.
Yeah.
As what is more commonly known as.
Yeah.
But which do you kind of prefer
Well,
working with?
I prefer Tiffany style because I've never done, or copper foil style because I've never done leaded glass before. I know a little bit about it, and I've seen, I call them my mentors. It's the people that own the shop that I used to go to buy all my glass and supplies. They make giant windows. The lady has been doing stained glass for 33 years or something.
Oh, wow.
So I would, go in there and, I would be nosy and see what they were doing. And every time they were working on a giant leaded window, it was like they hated it. They hated every second of it. They're like, if you move this piece over here, then this one moves here. And it always seemed like torture. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So I think I'll probably end up staying mostly with Tiffany style because I really like tiny details, tiny pieces. I love it. It's my favorite. So
Let's see, I'm opposite of that. I don't like those tiny pieces.
they're awful. They're terrible. I don't know why I like them.
They're so hard. Yeah, I got these big old thumb fingers and I can't.
Yeah, maybe that's my like superpower. Maybe that's my secret is I have really tiny hands, so it makes tiny pieces possible. That's actually my biggest kept secret is I have the tiny hands for tiny pieces.
So, I mean, you do some painting in yours as well.
Yes.
As part of your artwork. What type of paints do you use on your?
Sure. So I exclusively have only ever used Pebeo Vitria 160. That was what like my mentors told me about, and because it was really hard for me, it's hard to find any information about stained glass paint. Like I couldn't find it anywhere. So luckily they told me about it. I tried it. It's awesome because you just bake it in the oven. Like you don't need a kiln because I don't have room in here for a kiln. And that's a big piece of equipment. I know there's like microwave kilns and stuff, but I don't want to deal with that. So I just love that you can just like bake it in the oven and it's like super low investment really. It's $8 for a bottle. And I've had one bottle last me almost 2 years now. So yeah, that's the paint I use. I love it. I tell everyone about it because it's just like I couldn't live without it at this point.
Yeah. So I use some of the enamel paint pens that dry out, that actually harden out real good, and then you can also some of those you can bake as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But also another thing that I've actually been playing around with is using those pens, but then using gel nail polish and then curing it with the ultraviolet light.
Yep, I've heard about that before. I haven't tried it, but I've definitely I've heard of people doing that, like with jewelry as well, like stained glass jewelry. So that's definitely a useful. It's a good idea right there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try a couple with that and see kind of how it turns out, and just let it sit and just see if it. The thing I get nervous about is whether or not it yellows out, but they say it doesn't yellow out.
Yeah.
So, every time you use clear stuff, it seems like the pigment, I guess, in the clear sometimes yellow out.
Yeah, so for sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I'm so nervous to like try anything. Like I once I have something, I'm like so set in my ways because I'm like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like I like my paints. Like I haven't wanted to venture out and try anything else just because it's like I haven't really needed to. So my knowledge is very minimal. I'm just like Pebeo Vitria. That's it. That's all I got. That's my one trick.
I've heard people talk about Pebeo Vitra 160, and I haven't tried them yet. So that's probably going to be. I love trying new stuff and just working with different mediums and just trying different things with stained glass. So I'm an explorer.
Good. I'll let you do the exploring. I'm so terrible. I'm just like, I don't want to. I'm nervous. I don't want to. But yeah, I of course recommend, like, they're so fun to work with. They're a little, like, it takes a little bit to like get used to the consistency. The paints are very when you first get them, they're very transparent, but like the paint itself is thick, if that makes sense. So it's like can be a little bit tricky to work with because you're like, this should be more opaque, but it's not. So
does it go on pretty easily, the Pebeo?
Relatively.
Do you really have to soak it up into the brush and then really kind of put it on thick?
It's hard to describe. So it's very thick. It's very like it has a thick consistency, but it doesn't. I wouldn't say that it behaves like a normal paint. A lot of times when I was using it with my liner brushes, it kind of like stays on the brush, so you have to constantly be dipping and reapplying. So it is like it takes a while to get used to. It takes a while to kind of like learn how the paint works and learn, how much you have to get for certain like stroke thicknesses and stuff. So
okay,
but I love it. I know it sounds terrible, but I love it.
Well, no, hey, you do what you love, and that's, and you're a prime example of it now. You're doing it full time, doing what you love, stained glass. And that's just so awesome. It looks like Kuya actually said something about kind of responded as it's the same with resin. Sometimes they yellow out. So maybe it does yellow out over time. I'm not sure. So cool. So now, you're in your niche now, you got your sun bear.
Yes.
And I saw bears today.
Yes, I'm making bears literally for the first time in my 2 years of doing stained glass. I don't know why it took so long, but I'm finally making them. So
yeah, when you told me that you hadn't made a bear yet, and then I was like, your logo is a sun bear.
Literally, like, your logo is a stained glass pattern, and you haven't made it yet. Like, I don't know. I don't know what took me so long. I think it's just been like focusing on my commissions. I don't have any stained glass that like I made just for like myself. So most of the things I've like come up with, shop update themes, and I haven't had anyone ask me to make a bear. So I think that's why I'm finally doing it though. I'm like, I want a bear. I'm making bears. You can't stop me.
Yeah. So, I find that sometimes when I'm doing pieces, especially for myself. So you're probably going to laugh, but when I first got started, I did small projects. I had several small projects underneath. Yeah. But then I said, okay, I think I got this. I think I know how to do this. So I jumped to a big piece, a big panel for myself.
Yeah.
And that's that Mount Fuji project that I have.
Yeah.
And it's still sitting on my table. It's been over a year.
What? What? How big is it?
It is a 26 by 28, I think.
I would probably still just not be doing it as well. So I don't even blame you. I'd be in analysis paralysis for the rest of my life with doing something that large. So I don't blame you.
Yeah. So I've got to the point where it's foiling, and I've been doing it on my live streams. So, but then I got basically kind of forcing me to do it.
Yeah.
But then I got frustrated. Then I had to stop the live stream on those and then work on other projects, commission projects and so forth like that. So,
I have been frustrated on many a stream, but I'm just like, I have to keep going.
Yes. Pieces just don't cut the way they want. They don't, just don't fit.
The glass gods just don't, they just don't work with you. Stuff breaks and you're just like, know, that was expensive glass.
Yeah. So in your niche in the bears, or well, you do bears. You just started doing bears, but in your niche, you're everything
Yes.
about nature.
Yes, I try to. Yes.
Okay. Do you find that niche is really where you're comfortable at, or do you think you'll explore outside of that genre or that particular area?
I definitely want to explore out of it. It's just like it definitely is where I'm the most comfortable because it's
Mm-hmm.
just what I like the most. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like I've had this tapestry forever. Like I love the woods and I love nature and just like
Mm-hmm.
forests and obviously mushrooms and just all sorts of little like I don't know. I've always loved it. I've
Mm-hmm.
always been outside. Like even like when I was a kid, I would just go outside forever. And so I think that's why it's just like it's an easy subject matter. Like there's just endless things that you can do, and I just love looking at it. But and I did, yeah, Clea just said there's some UFOs.
I just saw it.
So it has definitely been fun, like kind of going outside of that. I would say that my last 2 shop updates ago I did an otherworldly theme.
Mm-hmm.
So it was still kind of naturey, but it was also like UFOs and a little bit more like structural nature, which I definitely had fun with making like the big UFO circles and like doing like star grids and stuff. I had a lot of fun with that. And I would like to explore like Gothic architecture for future pieces as well. I have a tattoo sleeve that's all cathedrals, Gothic architecture, stained glass, of course, my little stained glass part.
Wow.
So I would love to explore that more as well and kind of do some more like just like, I love like the Gothic arches and stuff. It's just like I love it. So
that'd be cool. That would be cool. I personally like landscapes, but I haven't produced much landscape type stuff because I've been only really building patterns to be able to do landscape later. So I've been just picking and choosing and different patterns and just whatever commissions that that come in and whatever the client wants. So when you are working on commissions, how do you interact with your client? I mean, you keep them along the whole way as far as you're building it and so forth like that.
I try to. There's definitely times that I'll just be working on a bunch of different stuff at one time and I'll just kind of like forget to send update pictures. Most people, I don't really think it makes a huge difference. Like they're just like, oh, cool. But I do like to involve my clients in the entire beginning part. So I will, take pictures of every glass option that I think is going to look good and see what they think, see if, maybe they want that green to be different or they want, especially for my pet portraits, it's super, super important. There's definitely been, like with the goats, I've done so many goats at this point, but like the fur color is sometimes really hard to match. Right. So I always like to make sure I'm really like trying to stay in communication with them and be like, is this look like the right cream color? What about this part of the nose? Like, do you want this and this? And it's definitely gotten easier to do that now that I've started incorporating the paint. So I don't have to rely on if like there's a goat with like white on its nose, I don't have to use white glass. I can just paint the white and kind of give it more like texture and more body too. Right. So, that has gotten easier, but yeah, I try to just like make sure I'm communicating a bunch with my clients. And if I'm uncertain about how something is going to look too, like I usually get to the grinding part and I'll grind everything out and I'll send them a picture and be like, this is where we're at, and see what they think of the colors. And if they don't say anything, I'm like, okay, I think it looks good. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually ran into that just recently on this cat panel that I'm doing for a window. And I didn't like the structure of it as I was, cutting the glass and I started placing it down. I was like, I'm not liking the structure of this. It seems kind of, in a sense, weak, and it's not going to be, but just in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, so I made a little modification and then I sent it to, the client, and they were like, "Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. Oh, I'm glad you're going to reinforce it too." Yeah, because I'm going to use some restrip up the middle to kind of reinforce it and so forth. But it's just those things, at the time you sometimes don't think about it, but then as you start putting it together, what does, how long it's going to take you, how, all these things start coming in, and you're like, oh, wow. Oh, looks like we got a question that came in. So let me, my mouse died on me here. Okay. So it looks like, Jay Wisher, how long on average does a commission take? Say something like the goats. So since you do the goats, I'll let you answer that one.
So the goats, it's kind of like an average time. It's hard to say like a specific, like it always is going to take this much because there's so many different, like all my goats have different numbers of pieces and some have more painting on them. I would say on average, my goats take anywhere from 10 hours if they are very simple. Although I would say that's probably a very low estimate because with my goats, I do like flowers and stuff around the border. And then I paint their names on it as well. So I would say 10 if I am like on the ball, like just like super flying through it and like just everything is working. I would say probably 12 to 14 hours is a more like accurate time. Like 10 is probably the shortest it's ever taken me, but 12 to 14 is usually more accurate, I would say.
And those are how big of a size are they?
They're about 8.5 inches in diameter. Okay. Yeah. So a lot of the timing too is like I will like I'll draw it out and they're that size, and there's some of the pieces are so stinking small. There was this one portrait I did.
You can have the small pieces.
Oh my gosh. Sometimes I just like, I look at my pattern once I print it out and I'm like, why did I do this to myself? But in the end, it always ends up looking great.
Good.
The one that happened recently, it's actually in the little like slideshow video that you played. It was a goat named Rigby, and he's the cutest little goat ever. He always had his bottom teeth showing in all the pictures. So I painted him with his little bottom teeth showing, but we did 2 flowers on the bottom, and one was a little sunflower and one was a daisy. And the daisy pieces, I am not even kidding you. They were like a long grain piece of rice. Like they were so small. I was like, what am I supposed to do this? It was ridiculous.
No.
It was ridiculous, but it looked really good once it was done.
So on those small pieces, like I said, I don't like small pieces, but I do have some.
Yeah, they're unavoidable at times.
Unavoidable.
Yeah.
So do you, when you actually put your small pieces on and the foil, because the foil overlaps so much, even though you're using, say the smallest size you can.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself trimming back just so you can have some more glass showing?
Yep. There have been many a time that I use the smallest foil possible, and then I still have to use my little X-Acto knife, use my magnifying glass, and just barely be able to squeak out some glass. But yeah, no, it's fine. I love doing like the nitpicky itty bitty tiny details, even though it I say like it's frustrating. I also love it. So I don't know. It's this weird love-hate thing where I just like can't stop doing it. And I think it's because it's just like so delicate. Like I think that's why I like it, as I like how much detail you can, like I like cramming as much detail as you can in the tiniest space possible. And I think it just like looks really nice. So
yeah. Well, they turned out really well though.
Thank you.
They turned out awesome. Thank you. So what's the largest piece that you've actually done?
Sure. So it's like really not that large when it comes like in comparison to like what other people do. But for me, it was an iris panel that was 12 inches wide and 21 inches tall. There it is.
There it is.
This one gave me immense amounts of anxiety leading up to it because I was like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I don't know if I'm supposed to reinforce it. I don't know this, blah, blah, blah. But I figured it out and it was great. So It wasn't that bad. The soldering took me an absurdly long time, and I did it on a live stream, and there were so many people that came in on that live stream, and they were just like they were just like basking in the frustration. I was getting so angry while I was doing this because I was so tired of standing, but I was really happy with how it came out. The picture that was like in the window.
Yep.
When I took let me see, not this picture and not this one. It's the one where it's actually in my window inside. I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to make something like this for myself. And then like a week passed and I was like, I'm literally never going to do that. That's never going to happen. But I was very happy with how it turned out. And my client was as well. So,
well, that's awesome. It did turn out. It turned out beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So would I start soldering this one that I've got still sitting on the table,
the dreaded
Mount Fuji, dreaded Mount Fuji one. I'm going to do that live when I do that. So I think that's going to be interesting to kind of.
Is that leaded?
No, it's all copper foil.
You said you were foiling it. Ooh.
Yeah.
You're going to use so much solder.
Yeah, I think it's 270 or 282 pieces.
How many rolls of how many pounds of solder you think that's going to be? 4? I would say that's 4-pounder at least.
Yeah, at least a 4-pounder. Yeah. And then I'm going to frame it out at that too. So afterwards.
Yeah. Very nice.
So it's gonna be fun. It is. So so now, if somebody wanted to start out in stained glass, I always ask this to artists that I bring on is what would be your best advice for someone starting out in stained glass?
So best advice for starting out, I would say is number 1, don't compare yourself to other people. And I know we were talking earlier about how I am terrible about doing that. But especially when you're starting out, like, don't compare yourself. Don't be like, oh, like this person is doing this and they're amazing, because then it's just going to kind of like, it's going to be a never ending cycle of like you feeling like you can't get there. Because there's a lot of steps involved with stained glass. Each step is its own like really intense skill set that you have to learn, like cutting the glass, breaking the glass. Like it takes a while to get used to every step. So I would say don't compare yourself with other people. And then I would also say do things that you like, make things you want to make and don't feel pressured to go with trends. I think that like going with the trends is like can be good if you're like trying to like sell honeycombs, because I know like I got on the honeycomb trend when I was first starting my business. So it's definitely, but like right now there's so many stained glass artists up and coming that going with the trends is going to be kind of like, it's not going to be very helpful because there's so many people. So I would say like
they get saturated,
yeah, like Monstera leaves and honeycombs. It's just like, and like granted, your girl makes a lot of Monstera leaves. I've slowed down a little bit, but they're very common. So if you can find a way to put your own spin on it, or just make something that you are going to put the most passion into, and just like the most creativity that you possibly can, it's going to just like try to immediately just like set yourself apart. And I think that that's the best thing you can do, really, instead of just making a million honeycombs like I did.
Guilty. So so that is one of the things that the most common ones I see are feathers, Monstera leaves, and honeycombs. Those are the 3 that I see the most of. And granted, feathers and honeycombs are probably pretty easy to make in a sense, because you can dictate the cut on the feathers. And then it's a pretty straight cut on the honeycomb. So
absolutely. And I think that's partially what it is because it's so it's so easy, it's so beginner friendly. So I mean, that's why like the pattern that I have up on that's free on my YouTube is a Monstera leaf, because it's pretty straightforward. I'd say there's some cuts in it that are a little bit more than beginner, I would say. Just like with some little concave or like the little concave parts, little
Right.
but yeah, like honeycombs, you just have to cut one little pattern piece. I still have my first honeycomb pattern. It's the one comb to rule them all. I have it written on there, and that's what I like do all my honeycombs with. But yeah, it's hard because it's easy. So it's good practice for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So one of the things I always let people know is when you start practicing your cutting, just go find some cheap clear glass.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Cut on it to learn your cutting technique and how much pressure you got to do. Because I honestly think that is the hardest thing to learn is to cut. Because if you don't make your score marks right, then, you know, if you relieve pressure on it as you're cutting, then it's not going to actually follow that that score mark, and it's going to have a mind of its own.
It's just going to do whatever it wants. Yep.
Yeah. So when you actually get to those textured glass,
stupid leave. I love it though.
Then, you know, hopefully, because I find texture glass still, I mean, no matter how much you practice and how much cutting you've done, some of that texture glass still have a mind of its own. It just goes off where you don't want it to go.
Absolutely. There's to this day, like I think it's just always gonna like, because you just don't know like what little air pockets are in it, and you don't know what like is going on in there. There's still glass that I cut to this day where I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess you just went that way then. Bye. Like, that's great. Yeah, no, that's something that I personally didn't do, but I have suggested that to people before. Like, go to thrift stores and find some pictures with glass in it, and just so you can get them for like 50 cents.
That's what I did.
Yeah. And I do make the warning though that like the picture frame glass is going to potentially be thinner, so it won't have the exact same feel, but you can at least like learn if you're like not to just like you know, and be so heavy-handed and just kind of like feel it's less intimidating than buying a $10 piece of glass and then being like, wow, I just ruined the entire thing. Buy those $10, you know. So no, I definitely agree. Like if you like going out and buying like cheap picture frames and stuff like that, like that's gonna be your best bet in practicing.
Yep. Awesome. So let's go check into the chat here real quick and make sure we didn't miss any questions. Just kind of going back through here. Okay, we got the last one we had here was okay. Yep. So that was that one. And wow, have lot of comments going on. So planning things out will be your best friend. You can really set a time for custom piece. Okay,
yeah, I mean, that's why I gave like I think, and they like, I think Jay has like dealt with that before. It sounds like they do tattooing, where it's so hard to like really estimate how long something takes. That's why usually the easiest way for me to calculate my pricing is price by piece. Because I've been doing it long enough to where I kind of have an idea of, okay, if this has 50 pieces in it, it's probably going to take me somewhere around 12 to 14 hours, depending on, you know, the details in it. So that's how I do it, is I price by piece. I see if I think that that's going to be how it's going to match up, is like, you know, if, this is going to take me 12 hours, and then pricing is so hard though.
Yeah, it is.
Pricing is just always terrible.
I think what I want to do is I want to get a panel on here and talk about pricing.
Yeah, everyone prices differently too.
You know, so it's kind of, everybody kind of does it different, you know, and you know, and also depends on the area you live in as well. Yep.
Like there's people in Canada that their glass is so expensive, it's ridiculous. There's a guy, I think his name is Dan. I think that was the one. He comes into my live stream. He said that he is lucky if he can get a square foot of glass for like $25 US. And that's plain glass. That's cathedral glass. Like that is just like no texture, like just yellow cathedral glass. So in places like that, like you're going to have to charge more versus like, you know, I have a local somewhat local supplier, and she has just like tons and tons, and it's very cheap. So I'm like super lucky that it just depends on where you're at and who you know, and if you find the right estate sale. And
I've never actually gone to an estate sale that had things. I have never seen them in my area yet.
Yeah.
So
did you hear my story on my last live stream about the estate sale that my friend found?
No, I did not.
I've never.
We got time. Go ahead.
I've never been to an estate sale before, but I have a friend who loves going to them, and she was like, "What are you looking for? Like, if I were to go, like, I see glass sometimes, but I don't know what I'm looking at." And I was like, "Just sheets of glass. Sometimes they're a square foot, sometimes they're bigger, pretty colors. That's it. Like that. All I want is glass." So she texts me a like blurry picture of this like pile of glass, and she was like, "Is this it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I didn't know how much there was, and she was like, "Okay, I just bought a bunch of glass for you, and I paid $220." And I was like, "Okay." And then I went and I picked it up from her, and it was like 50 square feet of like vintage and like art glass, like Bullseye, Armstrong, all these like crazy specialty glasses, like well over $500 to $600, if not more, of like these specialty glasses. And I was just like, "You did good. You did really good." She was like, "I don't know if this is good or not." And I was like, "You're so good." So that was a really good find. So there's some gems out there for sure.
There are, definitely. Yeah, I've gone over. I live near Kokomo Glass.
Yes, I've always wanted to go there. Yes.
So it's about 2.5 hours from me.
Gotcha.
And I go up there at times, just to make the drive up there.
Yeah.
And they actually have these big scrap bins.
Yes, I've heard about them. They're like $1, right?
$1 a pound, basically. And I go and I rate those, and
it's like heaven.
Yeah, I came back with like the last time I went, I came back. I think it was around 45 pounds worth of glass, and it was like, oh, nice. You know, Granted, it's smaller pieces, but I mean, some of the pieces are like this big.
Yeah, it's like finding gold.
Yes. So I love it. And then I've gone to another sale that's over in Illinois. And they have an annual, like October, right around this time, their fall sale.
Yeah.
And some of this, $12, $13, 12 by 12 sheets are like $5.
So good.
It's worth the drive to go over to some of those sales, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've always wanted to stop by the Wismach factory too, because my grandparents live in Ohio, so I'll like drive up to see them because I hate flying, and I still haven't done it yet, but I want to stop at the Wismach because I think it's in West Virginia. So it'd be a little detour, but it would still be. I think they have the same thing, like the $1 per pound glass scraps.
Yeah.
And give me all that Wismach, give it. Give me.
Yes. It's always good.
Yeah.
There was one comment in here that what was it? Oh, you were talking about the daisies earlier, and Chelsea said the daisies were just so perfect.
Yes, that is my goat lady. My goat lady. So many cute goats. It was so funny. My mom, like I told her about the goats because she has a herd of 19 goats, and we're doing portraits of all of them. So my mom was like, how can you do that many portraits? Like, do the goats all look that different? And I was like, yes, they all have their own little personalities. I'm working on one right now. And it is like, she has the cutest. She is, all of her fur is black. And then she has some like little white spots. And she has this like curly brown hair all over her body. So like she has this like cute little like black face and then just like these crazy curls. So cute. I just love it. And I might be a little partial because it made like, I was like, if I feel like if I was a goat, I would look like that. Like I'd just be this weird little goat with like all this curly hair, but I love it. She's so cute. Like they all like, I love doing pet portraits in general too, because I'll get pictures and you can just like, I love seeing all their little personalities in their pictures, and like people will send me like 5 or 6 different pictures where they're all just being crazy. It's so fun. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, cool. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we will kind of end here. I've got to go pick up my daughter.
Oh, okay.
She's going to be finishing up her wonderful art show. Kind of art show tonight and so forth. So we're going to go get her and everything. And I greatly appreciate you coming on tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. This is so
great.
Fun.
Yes, we have to do this again. I mean, I love coming on here just talking about glass and just geeking out about talking stained glass.
I think you're the first person that I've like really talked to, like another like established artist, and talked to about just like geeking out about glass. Like I haven't done it face to face before, and I was like, oh, Wismach, oh, Kokomo. We're just like, like most of like all the people in the chat are probably just like, what are they talking about? But it's fun. I love it.
It's fun. Yeah, I love it too. And I love talking glass with other glass artists because, you can learn so much just from each other. Yeah. And, and so forth. So, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create a community on YouTube of glass artists. So that way we can come together like this and talk and geek out and have a place to really just, get together and just really geek out. And I actually do 2 what I call glass outs a year in my own studio here, to where I will take time off from work and I will come down for an entire week, and I'll wake up in the morning.
That's so awesome.
I'll tell my family, I say, hey, this is my glass out week. And then I will just come down and I will just play around. I'll experiment. I'll do,
they're like, don't go bother Dad. He's glassing out right now.
I call them glass outs. Don't bother me during my glass out.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But hey, if you can do me a great favor, tell everybody where they can find you on social media, where they can go and look at more of your work and so forth.
Yeah, so you can find all of my work basically at Sunbear Glasscraft. That's like my handle on everything. I post most of my work on Instagram. So if you want to see like all my projects and finished work, you can go on there. I also have a Discord, which is going to be linked. I have a link tree in my Instagram. And so if you want to kind of like chit chat and talk and post your art, because I love helping recognize other artists as well and giving tips and advice and everything, you can come onto my Discord too. And, have a place to feel free to share your work. Because sometimes I know it can be awkward to like share your work and get critiques and, have a place that you can go. But everyone can post on there. You don't have to feel like awkward or anything. Like I love seeing other people's work, especially stained glass work. So Discord, Instagram, I think that just about covers it. I have a YouTube as well, Sunbear Glasscraft on everything. So that's my spiel.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for coming out.
So, hey everybody, I do have a link to Rachel's link tree, so you can go find her on social media in the description below. And I do want to make a special announcement. I am looking at doing a special giveaway when I hit the 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. Ooh. And hopefully I'm trying to hit it by the end of the year. But I am going to talk about it in my next stream next week. I'm kind of toying with two different patterns to give of which one I want to give away. So I may need some help on some deciding. So you want to stay tuned for more details on that next week's stream. And I'll be talking about some upcoming projects. I'm really excited about one big project that I'm going to be doing. I've already shared it with Rachel. But I'm going to share that next week. on that stream and some other projects that I'll be working out. So again, if you're looking to start stained glass, you can check out Rachel's channel. You can check out my channel and the playlist that we both have, and and start your own journey in stained glass. With that, I'll see you on the next stream.